Coach Marcos here. I'm going to go through a quick full body cool down, and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of talk about each movement. Now, the reason why you would want to do this before working out is just to try to create this type of controlled mindset where you're focusing on what the intent of the day is, and you're trying to feel for better positions and create a primer session prior to lifting. That way you could try to really stimulate better mind and muscle connection while you're moving and getting a little bit sweaty. If you're going to do this after working out, so at the very end of your workout, you want to apply this so that you could try to create this state of being calmer, right? Because when we're working out, we're getting into this fight or flight state, and in order to prioritize a little bit better recovery, instigate better gains over time, you want to try to go more into this calmer state. I'm going to go ahead and have a timer running. That's why I have a remote here. And as I go through the timer, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate everything. The first thing I'm going to show you is the cat-cow. For the cat-cow, you really don't have to go crazy fast. We're going to have 30 seconds on the timer, but I might stop beforehand. Typically for this movement, you only have to do about 12 to 14 reps. Anything more than that is just probably a waste of time. So I'm going to go ahead and get the timer running. By the way, the only thing you might need is a band. It doesn't have to be crazy intense. I have a purple one here. So here we go. For the cat-cow, I'm going to go ahead and have my hands right below my shoulders, my knees right below my hips. I'm going to go ahead and exhale as I go into the cat. Inhale as I go into the cow, right? And note my shoulders and note what I'm doing with my ribs, right? As I go into the cat, I'm kind of pushing my shoulders forward, bringing my hips in, ribs up, and then as I inhale, going into the cow, I'm pulling those shoulders down and back. All right, and like I said, you only need about 14 reps there. From here, we're going to go into the T rotations. For this one, I want you to focus on kind of pushing through the ground as you rotate through. You might not feel like you're going to have too much range of motion, but that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and breathe in, and then breathe out. And then come back. Breathe in. Breathe out. And return. Right? Take your time on these. You probably only need about 4 to 6 in each direction. Try to be as focused as possible on that push through the ground and also controlling your hips. And then that way you can try to really get a good amount of cracking or at least stretching through the obliques. And then you'll be able to open up through the shoulders just a bit better. Now the next one, we're kind of going into the opposite direction. So this is a T-spine reach. So for the T-spine reach, I'm going to go ahead and inhale and exhale, pushing my ear and my shoulder to the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and inhale and exhale, push and reach the ground. You can hold this for about 20 seconds or so, and then switch sides. I know I'm going through this kind of quick, but I just finished my cool down already, and I figured I might as well make this video. So that was the T-reach. Again, you would only have to do about 20 seconds each side. After that, we're going to go into the lazy hamstring stretch. Now for this one, this is where the band might come into play. So either use a band or you could use some sort of upright. So if you use the upright, you can go ahead and get your butt to the wall here or the upright. And you're going to pull that toe back, right? Similar position if I use a band. I'm going to go ahead and get that band strapped across the back of my hands. I'm going to get this right about in the middle of my foot. And I'm going to lay back, trying to relax the back as much as I can, and I'm going to pull that toe back. Now, you might want to start out over here, and as you become a little bit more flexible, I guess you could say, you could go ahead and pull back a bit more. Now, as you do this, you could go ahead and move through the ankle a bit, be a little active, right? allow for that calf to stretch a bit, and allow for that hamstring to stretch as well. I'm going to go ahead and swap sides here. I'll lay out that leg. Turn a little bit so I can get to the floor. Now, as you seesaw here, so this is my bad ankle, so this is why I'm going to show you here. So I want to kind of pull one side as I turn that foot, and then go the opposite direction as best as I can. And that's going to help me just kind of manipulate that ankle and that calf a little bit more. Oh, God. Oh, all right. Next one, we're going to go into the figure 4. This one I do recommend you use some sort of wall or some sort of upright. So I'm just going to over here. Now, I'm going to try to get my knee about 90 degrees. You can go a little bit lower though, so that knee passes the hip crease. And that will allow you for a better stretch through the glute and low back. Go ahead and cross. Now, this is going to stretch this leg that's bent, and I could also push through that knee a little bit more. Now, as I'm holding this position, I want to try to make sure that my back is as flat as possible against the ground. If I'm so close that my back is rounded like this, I'm probably too close to allow for a good stretch through the hip. So I would recommend that you back up just a little bit more so that you can allow for that back to be nice and flat. Because in this stretch, what's important is hip positioning relative to the whole femur here. Because if you get that hip positioning wrong or off of it, you're not going to feel that stretch in the area that you would ideally want, which is your glute. So I'm going to go ahead and change sides. Go ahead and get that stacked. Across. And I'm going to push that knee through. Another reason why I like this versus the maybe freestanding one is just because if I'm in this position here, I'm going to let it be. If I'm in this position here, I'm going to be a little bit more active, right? I'm squeezing with my abs and I'm causing some sort of tension throughout my core and my hips. Whereas if I'm here on the wall or some sort of upright, I'm able to relax a little bit more. And I'm able to just mostly flex through the shoulders and such. So I'm able to allow for all of this to settle and allow for a better position for a better stretch. So I'm just going to hold this for a little. All right. Now, after that, we got the straddle. For the straddle, it's pretty simple. I'm just going to go ahead and sit back and hold. And I'm just going to go right into it just because I like holding this one for a little bit longer than usual. And as I do this, I'm just going to go ahead and rant about like why you would probably want to use these stretches and then maybe what's a better application for this. So again, you would like to do these either a little bit before or a little bit after your workouts. If you do it before, I would only go through these once, all of them, just once. If you do it after your workout, you're going to want to do it maybe 2 times. Now, doing these, again, the main focus isn't necessarily to address any type of mobility issues. It's more to just promote a more settled state of being so that you can try to promote better recovery. Now, when it comes to stretching, you don't want to get to the point where you're feeling like you need stretching all the time. If you do feel like that's happening, you probably want to address something in your programming or your recovery aspects of, or recovery variables. So if you feel like you're limited in terms of range of motion, or you feel crazy tight in certain spots, or your joints hurt, you might want to address your positioning, address the volume in your training. Second move is going to be a half straddle, so I'm going to show you that here in a second. So one leg out and just one leg back here. And you could lean back more if you can. I can't, so this is as far as I'm going to go. Again, positioning, volume in terms of training, or even the intensities in terms of training. And then the final thing would probably be frequency of whatever movement that you feel like is probably doing it, or if you're looking at your joints because you feel something in your knees or something, you might want to check out what movements or what time after X movement you end up feeling those joints. So I'm changing sides already pretty early. That's going to be a better method than trying to stretch all the time or applying more stretching than you need. Because if you look at stretching or mobility work, there's a reason why all those tissues are causing that tension. So if you add stretching or mobility work, it's going to only address that issue for like a moment. It's more like a Band-Aid, if you will. Whereas if you try to look at your programming, look at what's actually causing that tension, it's going to help alleviate that tension so that you don't need the stretching or mobility as much. So otherwise, like if you just focus on stretching and mobility, you're going to get stuck in this continuous loop of that's probably even going to get bigger and bigger over time, and that's not going to be helpful at all. Whereas if you try to address like what's causing the tension or what's causing this high amount of stress to the point where you're feeling these types of discomforts, you'll be better off in terms of like how much more recovered you'll likely be. So that was the whole sequence there. Again, there's a lot that can happen from you being in a better state of mind, right? For now, I hope you guys enjoy this really quick full body cool down, and I'll see you next time.